What is going on, everyone? My name's Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. And today we're heading into Game Week 2. It's the Game Week preview, which I do every single week, taking a look at the kind of news and events that have happened in FPL, obviously in the previous week, or maybe that's happened midweek as well. So in this one, we're talking about goalkeeper injuries, whether Man United are essential, whether we should be changing our strategy and stuff like that. If you're enjoying this content, make sure to give it a like and subscribe if you're new around here. Otherwise, we'll jump straight into it. So we'll start off by talking about Allison. Went off injured in the Norwich game. Didn't even get his clean sheet, unfortunately, for any owners out there. And Klopp has said that he's going to be out for a few weeks. We don't know exactly how long that's going to be, but you expect that to be at least 3, maybe even 4 weeks, unless we get any further news. So probably a transfer that has to happen, especially if you were someone who, like a lot of us, went for a set and forget keeper, whether that was 6 million, whether it was 4.5 million. A lot of people put in their main keeper and then had a cheap backup that probably doesn't play. So if you've not got a backup, it's definitely a transfer you're going to want to be making for Game Week 2. Yes, the goalkeeper position isn't necessarily a massively high ceiling, but it's certainly a position that can tick over. So I think the obvious transfer is to Edison if you want to keep the same price. The key question really is, do you go to Edison? Do you go to Liverpool's backup keeper, Adrian? Or do you go to a totally different player altogether? So maybe another 4.5 million, maybe a Pope who got a clean sheet, or Ryan, someone like that, or Heaton, Aston Villa have got good fixtures as well. So in my opinion, if I had Allison, obviously the straight look is to go to Adrian. That's obviously the obvious answer. You save 1.5 million, which is a lot of money. I was quite surprised to see Adrian coming at 4.5, but you can go for the straight swap, bank 1.5 million. That's my preferred strategy if it was me. I don't think I'd necessarily go straight to Edison, even though I think Man City will get a good amount of clean sheets. I think I'd rather save that money and then put it elsewhere in my squad. But I would say that because that's basically what I've done with Pope in goal. So whether or not you go for Adrian or go for another 4.5, I mean, will Liverpool defence be as good? He's going to be a big miss. He was a key part of why they got clean sheets last year. Obviously, Robertson, Trent, Van Dijk, and then the midfield in front of them help as well. But Allison was a good shot stopper last year, and in general was just a good keeper for Liverpool, and was a key part of why they did so well. So I'd be a little bit concerned about going for Adrian. I just think personally I'd rather go for a different 4.5 million keeper, and then down the road, if you want another Liverpool defender, get in one of the defenders instead who's got attacking threat, which we saw in the first game. Van Dijk came away with a goal, Trent Alexander-Arnold came away with an assist, and Robertson on another day could have got something as well. So that would be what I would do personally. But I think going for Adrian's okay, but it's just going to be another transfer down the line. So for me, I would get someone in who you can keep a bit longer term, and maybe use that money elsewhere. Whether you should go for 3 Liverpool defenders now, or 2 Liverpool defenders plus maybe Salah or Mane, whoever it might be, is an interesting discussion. I think for now I would hold. I don't think there's any need to panic over this. Yes, Adrian is not quite at Alisson's level, but the Liverpool defence is still good in itself, and they've got some pretty good fixtures. So I'm going to monitor and see how it goes. And if I need to in a few weeks drop off one of the Liverpool defenders, I will. And if you've got Allison, I think drop down to a 4.5 probably is the best bet outside of Liverpool, and then decide in a few weeks if you want to upgrade one of your defenders to a Liverpool defender instead. Are Man United players essential? Obviously the title is a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I don't think at this point anyone is necessarily essential outside of maybe Kane, Salah or Sterling, who got massive points and will probably continue to do so. But obviously they did beat Chelsea 4-0. I don't think that anyone really expected that result. Could have been a tight game, could have been goals, but I don't think anyone expected Man United to be doing all of the attacking and getting all of the goals. So the question is, do you now go for Rashford, Martial? Do you have to get in one of their defenders, Maguire or Wan-Bissaka? There's a lot to consider here, and as a Man United fan, I'm pretty tempted to get one in, not going to lie. I almost had Martial in my starter squad anyway, so obviously it's a bit of a killer to then see him score. I know that I need to use a transfer to get him in. So first thing to mention is, yes, we got a clean sheet, but we did concede a lot of shots, 18 in total, the second highest amount of shots conceded in Game Week 1. Only Aston Villa conceded more. To put it into perspective, Norwich, who a lot of people say got battered by Liverpool, and they did, to be fair, but in terms of the amount of shots they conceded and the amount of goals in the end, they actually only conceded 15 shots. So Man United conceded more to Chelsea than Norwich did to Liverpool, which I think is pretty surprising when you look at it like that. And obviously they did hit the woodwork. Even Emerson from left back was doing really well in terms of attacking potential. One to look at maybe for 5.5. But yeah, I don't think there's a rush to go out and buy Man United defenders just yet. The one thing I will say though is the likes of Wan-Bissaka are highly owned. So when they do get a clean sheet, if your other defenders can't keep up, that's really going to punish you. Because when you couple his ownership with Shaw and Maguire, it's quite high for a Man United clean sheet. A lot of FPL managers own them. And Wan-Bissaka basically did what we saw him do last year and get bonus points. So he looks really good. So I do like the idea of Man United defenders, but I don't think there's a rush to get him this week. They struggled against Wolves last year. There's every chance that could happen again. It's also just 1 week. We've only got 1 week's worth of data. Were Man United really good or were Chelsea really poor? On another day you concede 18 shots, you probably concede at least 1 goal and don't get the clean sheet. So I would maybe try and wait until at least game week 2 to see what happens with Man United. Can they pull it out of the bag against Wolves? And if they can, they got a really good run of fixtures from game week 3 onwards. Like I say, Wolves is a tougher test. Now obviously price rises come into it. And a lot of people will say move early because as soon as a price rise, because it's at the start of the season, if you've not got 0.5 million or more banked, then you won't be able to make that transfer. So let's say you've got Lucas Moura or Fraser, they're 7.5, Martial goes up to 7.6. Obviously, you cannot make that transfer, but I would try and not let price rises dictate your decisions too much. If you're absolutely sure that Martial is the key to your game going forward, then by all means make that transfer. But remember, you could get injury news by Friday. We could get injuries in the Chelsea versus Liverpool Super Cup game as well. So there's a lot to consider. So I wouldn't let price rises dictate my strategy too much, and I would hold on. I think, yes, they look good. Martial's playing number 9. He's listed as a midfielder. That's really, really tempting. But I think if you've got a plan in place, try and stick to it as much as possible. So there is a spot of knee-jerking going on this week, and if you're new to that term, it basically means that people just are absolutely anxious and waiting to make a transfer. Their knees are basically jerking in order to make that transfer. They can't hold on any longer. So in this case, I picked 4 players. You could probably add Fraser to Lucas Moura as well because he didn't do anything against Sheffield United, so people are panicking about him. And the thing about Lucas Moura and Fraser is that the same price point as Martial we've just spoken about, which adds fuel to the fire because they've not really performed necessarily well. Moura did get an assist, but he's got Man City next, and obviously Martial's got Wolves and then a good set of fixtures. And looks pretty nailed in that number 9 spot as well. So let's talk about DFA first. So he played wide left, which is kind of reverse out of position because he's listed as a forward now because he played as a forward last year, or at least at the end of last year. But now he's playing back out wide and didn't play too well. Saw a couple of Watford fans saying that maybe he was rushed back too quick, and then he got bought off, I think, before 60 minutes as well, or at least early on in the game. So it doesn't look great if you've gone for him. Again, I would wait until the press conference on him and see what's said. If there's a chance that he's going to miss out in game week 2, then I would probably look at transferring him on. It's probably not going to happen. He's probably going to play. The question is, will he play well? And I just think that was a poor performance in the first game. And he is a player that we've seen kind of in and out of the team in previous years as well. So that does worry me a little bit. So if you're looking at DFA and you're thinking about transferring him out, that's one I can kind of get behind. We've seen the likes of Pookie. He's got a nice run of fixtures, and he got his goal against Liverpool as well. And looks like he's going to potentially finish as well as he did last year. But obviously he's not going to get 29 goals. But he could definitely chip in with a lot for Norwich over the start of the season. Trossard for Brighton, obviously a lot of hype around him, especially on Twitter. Maybe not in the general game, but a lot of hype for him on Twitter and YouTube and stuff like that. Didn't play at all for Brighton, but they kind of came out, and Potter kind of come out and said that it was maybe because it was an away game, first game of the season. They didn't get a chance to get on the pitch, but they did say he was unlucky. So for me, I think he starts the next game at home, or at least gets minutes. I think if you've gone for him with Brighton's fixtures, you give him the opportunity to play in game week 2 and then go from there. I don't think he's a rush out. Barkley is a little concerning because he kind of played wide left, or on the left, and Mount kind of got the number 10 position. So I think a lot of the Barkley loving was hoping that he would get the number 10 position and be on penalties, but he came off early as well. That does worry me a bit. There's every chance that he plays the next game and maybe he plays in number 10. I think that's the big problem with Chelsea at the moment. We just don't know how Lampard's going to set out. Is he going to swap things around for the first few game weeks to get things right? I'm not quite sure if he knows what his best 11 is right now. So when Pulisic is fit, you'd imagine there's only going to be one space for Barkley or Mount. I don't think they're both going to play regularly. I think one of them will play as number 10. So if you've got Barkley, I would possibly hold on for one more week. But if it turns out that he's playing left again, or he starts on the sub bench, he's an absolute sell. And I think if you're thinking about bringing him in, you should definitely wait. And then Moura and Fraser is tough. I think for these two, anyone who's got on, myself included, you knew that Lucas Moura was playing City, so why did you have him in the team? Obviously hoping for a big haul against Villa, so a lesson learned that it's very hard to predict a score on one game week, and you could say that's hindsight, but I think a lot of people said that anyway. So for me, I'm still umming and ahhing about Moura. I'm tempted to keep him because I think Spurs will play more counter-attacking and he'll play further up the pitch. And I think there's a good chance that he keeps his place in game week 3, but probably plays a bit wider rather than up front if Son's back. So it could be Son, Eriksen as number 10 if he's still there, then Lucas Moura on the right with Kane up front, especially if Ali is still injured. So that would see Lamela dropping out. So I think there's a good case to keep Moura, and especially Fraser, playing against Villa, who conceded 31 shots. And just hope that Martial doesn't absolutely smash it against Wolves, because if he does, it'll feel much worse. So I think don't knee-jerk too much. I think there are some arguments to get rid of some players. And obviously, if you want to do it, you should just go ahead and do it. It's your team. That's just my opinion on it. I also wanted to just give my thoughts on some strategies that people are looking at doing, maybe general FPL strategies. Obviously, Game Week 1 can be tough, especially if you not have a good week or a lot of your players missed out. Suddenly, you want to absolutely transfer in all the players that just did well. So first up, are hits viable? My opinion on hits very rarely changes. If you've watched a lot of my videos before, this is probably something you're going to have heard before. And basically, if you think that the player you're taking out or the player you're bringing in is going to score at least 4 more points than the player you're taking out over a certain amount of game weeks, so I wouldn't bring in a player you're just hoping to bring in for 1 week and get points. But if you're thinking that you want to bring in Pookie, for example, and you think he's going to score really well over the next 4 weeks, and you think he's going to score at least 4 points better than the player you're taking out, then the hits could be viable. The reason that a lot of people don't like to take them is because they are a bit of a gamble, and patience often does win out. But if you're really confident that's going to happen, then I don't see a problem to take it. If you've got lots of injuries, you should take them as well, as and when needed. As long as you can field a good 11 and you're happy with, then take hits if it's needed. Are they viable? Absolutely. It's probably not worth taking too many in game week 1 because, again, like I've said earlier in the video, we've only got 1 game week's worth of data. Let's try and get at least 2 before we make any rash decisions. But if you need to take them and you want to take them, absolutely go for it. Wildcard already, I would really try and not do this. Again, we only had 1 week's worth of data. Most of the decisions you're going to make on that wildcard are going to be emotional decisions based on game week 1. Which could all change in game week 2. Trossard starts, Barkley starts in number 10, Martial doesn't get any points, and suddenly the outlook looks a lot different. You know, Sterling, Salah, and Kane don't get double figure hauls, and suddenly we want different players. So I would watch out on the wildcard. Obviously, if it was part of your strategy to do it in game week 2, go for it by all means. And if you really think you've made absolutely all the wrong decisions, then you could do it as well. But I would really try and hold on to it. They are super important chips. So, you know, even if you wait until game weeks 4 or 5, you've got a lot more data to work with. So I would try and wait. And then triple premium attackers, obviously it looks really good after game week 1. Again, I'm going to say this a lot in this video, but that's only 1 week. Next week, Kane plays Man City. Is he going to get 2 goals? He only got those 2 goals in the last 5 minutes. Against Aston Villa. So is he going to get a brace against Man City? Probably not. Is Sterling going to score a hat-trick? Probably not. Will Salah get an assist and a goal? Well, he might do. He's playing Southampton. We'll have to wait and see. But I think triple premium attackers is okay as long as you're happy with the rest of the squad. I'm still not sure for my team, for example, because I'd have to get in a 5 million midfielder. I don't know if there's enough info to get the one I want. So for me, I'm still not going for it, but I have looked at how I might be able to do that. But we've got to remember the likes of Son are going to be back in game week 3 for Spurs as well, and he could be just as good an option as Kane for 1.5 million less and listed as a midfielder as well. So there's lots to consider. I think if you take one thing away, it's we've only got 1 week of data. Let's get another couple of weeks and then make some bigger decisions. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought of what I said. Do you disagree, agree, and have you got any other points that you'd like to bring up? And I'll try and answer as many as I can in the comments below. If you did enjoy this content, make sure to give it a like. Much appreciated as always. The support's been great over pre-season, and now as we're kicking into the main season, the continued support is awesome. And obviously if you are new, hit subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when the next video is going up and when the next live stream will be, which will be 9 PM on Thursday, answering all your questions as normal right up until game week 2. So I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I'll catch you next time.